Oh, and Philip,
Oh.
you're a squab.
Yeah, I am a squab, a very rotten one this time.
Yes, you are.
Yep, and we are live. So, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another hour later discussion. Um, uh, well, actually, this is his first time, but he's still a swab nonetheless. So,
Oh,
welcome.
come on. You guys are embarrassing him.
I'm just kidding.
It's fine, it's fine. I kind of deserved it.
But
Wow.
why don't you tell us what film you decided to subject us to this time around?
So this time I decided to subject you all to the movie Shutter.
Yes, you just tortured us.
For real. The movie Shutter from 2004, a horror movie from Thailand, which many people think it's Japanese, but it's not. It's a Thai horror movie, which is one of my favorite Asian horror movies of all times. It was, let's see what IMDb says. Uh, Shutter
It says
2000.
watch the American version, you squab.
You watched the American version.
No, I didn't. I said IMDb says watch the American version, you squab.
Uh, yeah, so it was directed by, okay, these are Thai names. I'm probably not going to pronounce them correctly.
Did you want me to try to pronounce them?
That's even worse.
Bangjong Parkboom and Parkboom Wangboom.
See?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't really pronounce them much better, honestly. And it stars.
What do you
I'm
call
also,
a happy What do you call a happy Asian man?
what?
Hung low.
It stars Ananda Everingham. I'm really not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly. So if anyone from
That's okay.
Thailand,
None of us know.
yeah, so if anyone from Thailand watches this, no offense to anyone, please. We're just really not good at your language. Uh,
Natha Wiranuk Thong Mei plays Jane. Akita Shikamana plays
yeah,
Natsu.
something like that, I guess.
Una Chanpai plays Ton, and so on and so forth. As we
don't need to know the whole
come
cast.
across the characters.
Yeah.
Who played Flatface?
Okay, now
Uh,
that you guys
Achi-
are you done massacring the names?
the character you Crow mentioned was played by Achita Sikamana, if that's what the name is pronounced like.
Sounds right. I'll go with it.
um, so yeah, uh, let's see what IMDb says about the story. A young photographer and his girlfriend discover mysterious shadows in their photographs after a tragic accident. They soon learn that you cannot escape your past. So, was this the first time watching this movie for you guys, and what were your first impressions?
Well,
Let's,
I suppose I'll go first.
okay.
This was a first time watch for me. I
Okay.
had though watched the remake once before, and
better.
this was definitely weird. It's I'm a little bit easier on subtitled movies because I'm used to them because I grew up on Godzilla movies and got got used to reading subtitles in certain films. So it's not like it's my go-to. I will not go out of my way to watch a subtitled film. I prefer dubs. But that being
For
said,
American.
this isn't a bad film. It does have its creepy moments, and I mean, I love the latter moments, and love the parts where she's got her legs wrapped around his fucking head.
Oh.
Giggity. Giggity.
Ooh. Okay. What about you, Tabby?
Yeah, it was my first time watching it. I guess in a way I've gotten somewhat used to subtitles with being around David. You know, he was teasing me yesterday after we watched it, and he came out here and I was watching a Godzilla movie. He goes, it's subtitles. I said, yeah, well, it's Godzilla.
I'd have to
Godzilla's
say
the
it's probably better than Godzilla movies, but then I don't like Godzilla movies, so.
well for me. I expect subtitles in Godzilla, so it's like it's acceptable, you know.
Mm.
No, it's
But
not.
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it definitely had some like parts where you were like, okay,
Right?
you didn't want to pause it or walk away for anything or whatever. You just wanted to get see what was going to happen. So
Mm.
it did. There was parts
I,
in it that did remind me of other movies like The
I fucked it.
Grudge and Ring. I do
Mm,
say that, but
yep.
yeah, I thought it was pretty decent. I think they had a good storyline and everything. So
Yeah.
I was actually supposed to watch it by myself, but my vacation plans got canceled. So
Whoa,
otherwise,
sorry to hear that.
And so did mine. Thank you very
yeah,
much.
his parents ended up not feeling well, so they didn't go.
Oh,
So
I'm
otherwise, I would have been watching it by myself up there. So
oh, I'm sorry.
No offense, we do love time away from each other.
The turtle and cat thanks you. They don't have to see a naked Dave running around.
they
How do
see
you
that
know that?
anyways,
How do
even
you
when
know
I'm here.
Netzer wasn't me?
Ah,
They see that when I'm here. So,
ah,
and I end up seeing that too.
poor animals. Poor Tammy.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it was decent.
Mm, I'm glad to hear that. Is that all of your first impressions, or is there anything more you'd like to say?
Not
Not
at
at
this
this moment.
moment.
Okay,
Wow. In
uh,
stereo.
what about you, Crow?
Okay, so I'm still not used to subtitles, and I never will, and I don't want to be. So, but that being said, this was easy to read because it was so goddamn slow. It wasn't more slow. I mean, it was better than that, but I don't think anything is that bad. So yeah, it was all right. I mean, it had a few moments that were kind of cool. Like Dave mentioned, the ladder scene was cool.
I'm sorry, which scene?
The lat when he was going down the ladder in the rain,
Oh,
when he fell, because before he fell, when she was following him down, like we knew she was going to, and we also knew he was gonna fall because it's raining.
oh,
But he
Yeah, we
still,
just didn't realize he was going to survive both falls.
well, the first fall, which should only been like maybe a floor or two tops, because he started from the fourth floor and he had made it down at least 2 floors before he fell. So it was just yeah. So I mean, that's not that big of a fall. Now the second fall, that was a pretty big fall, and that looked like he was dead. So that was very surprising he survived.
Yeah.
Now,
I.
originally watching this movie, I was like, okay, you son of a bitch, you deserve to die. You killed the girl by, your girlfriend ran her over and you wouldn't let her check, and I kind of blamed her too. Then I find out, oh wait, there was never really a girl, there was just a fucking ghost. But that took quite a long time before I realized that. Before I was kind of like, what the fuck does his ex girlfriend have anything to do with some lady they hit? And I finally figured it out. There was never a lady, but yeah, it took a while. The way they set it up, they don't make it very clear. I mean, they asked that person, and he said no one was reported, which is weird. But again, it doesn't stay. It doesn't make you think, oh, it was a ghost, a ghost. So
Yeah, it's actually an interesting twist. For one portion of the movie, you are led to think that the accident is the reason why
well, yeah, you
someone
can
is.
call it twist. I can call it stupid. Each to their own.
Why stupid?
Because, like I said, they led you to believe one thing. I don't consider it a twist. It didn't really feel like a twist. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, wow, moment. It was just like, okay. To
Mm.
me, a twist is a, oh my gosh, wow, like I didn't see that coming. You know.
Oh, I see.
Now, I did start watching the movie, and used I was voicing out the words that I read in an Asian accent, in a very funny Asian accent, which I won't repeat because it could be offensive to some people. But I was by myself when I watched it, so no one to be offended then. So yeah, so I was laughing because I was purposely making funny sound different voices for each person. But yeah.
Well, maybe
Oh.
I only did it for about half the movie, but because then I just got bored with it.
it can be amusing when you do something like that.
All right, that's what I figured. Since I had to watch, since I had to read my movie, may as well read it in a stupid voice.
Well,
Whatever floats your boat.
uh, well, this was definitely. Wait, Kroll, were you going to say anything more?
No, I'm done
Okay.
for now.
Sassy was trying to voice the movie too in Cat.
Probably close to Asian.
She was out here and she was making noise, right, David?
Oh, so she was trying to bring the grudge into it.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah, we had to tell her to be quiet a few times, so I think she was trying to voice her opinion.
Yeah, she was saying, "Watch this in American."
uh, there is an American remake of the movie,
I
and
know that's what I'm saying.
if you watch the American remake as a standalone movie, it's I would say it's not bad, but if you compare it to the
I'd say
original
it's
is
probably
much
10 times
better.
better. The Ring is better than Ringo. The other one was better. The American versions are just better. They have way more scare factors, and I don't know. Maybe you don't like that. Maybe you like the slow, once in a blue moon scare factor of these Asian movies, but I don't.
Mm, well, there are. Well, okay, not sure how much I should say about the American version since you haven't seen it, and maybe you
Well,
would like.
unless you pick it, I'm not going to see it.
Okay, well, the American version of the Ghost Woman is much different from this one. She is also an interesting character, but I would say they maybe made the American version of her somewhat less likable. Okay, you still feel sorry for her when you find out what happened to her and everything, but
They just made her more of a weirdo.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but does she still have a flat face?
uh, well, actually, in the American version, the ghost woman is Japanese. Funnily enough.
Right, but is she a flat face?
Uh, well, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
Uh, on the other hand, no, that character is not really supposed to be a sex bomb because her
I
story is
mean,
that,
she had a nice body, so but
yeah.
that face was just like weird. It
Uh,
wasn't ugly; it was just weird. It wasn't. You know,
mm, kind of, yeah, but then again, that's fitting for her character because if she looked better, she would have probably had more
not
friends and she
not
wouldn't
not
have been.
necessarily. You can be good looking and be a loner. I mean, look at Adrian in the Rocky movie. She didn't. She purposely made herself not look good, but when she took off her glasses and stuff, like she was good look. She was good looking, but she didn't want to be around people, so she made herself look homely.
Well, when we are already speaking of this character, I would like to show a drawing I did back in college. One time during a lecture, I was bored and I started to doodle this character. I didn't expect it would turn out very good. Well, okay, it's not really a masterpiece, but it turned out, I would say, better than I expected when I started. So uh, here is my drawing of her. What do you think?
Definitely not too bad.
Not too bad. I can't draw, so
As Crow said, sometimes she's better dead, looking dead than alive.
Come on. But funnily enough, there is a Telugu remake of this movie where when they gave her the ghost makeup, she literally looked better than her normal self.
But I said in this version.
Okay, I wouldn't go that far, but okay. Uh, so maybe it's time I say my first impressions, huh?
Sure.
No,
No.
Okay.
just messing with you, dude.
uh, okay, so uh, wait just a moment, please. What's happening here? Uh, okay. Um, so this is not the first time I watched this movie. The first time was years ago. Not sure when. Probably 2012 or 2013, something like that. I have this was maybe I don't know, sixth or seventh time I watched this movie. Like I said, it's one of my favorite Asian horror movies. I have to say, the first time I watched it, I made a terrible mistake of watching the American version first. So when I was watching this version, I already saw the main twists coming, but I still enjoyed this movie very much. One thing I really like about it is the difference it makes from some stereotypical Asian ghost horror movies like Ringu and Grudge and so on. Like in Ringu, everyone who watches Sadako's tape and doesn't make a copy and pass it on further, they die. And in the Grudge, everyone who visits that house dies no matter what. And in this movie, the ghost woman, she doesn't just kill people randomly for no particular reason. She's actually pursuing justice, and she's giving everyone exactly what they deserved, which is one thing I really like about this movie.
Well, she
Uh,
does scare the girlfriend, which technically the girlfriend didn't really do anything. I mean,
uh,
she did run over her ghost, but she was a
uh,
ghost. So.
yeah, she did scare her, but if you noticed, she never actually hurt her or did any real harm to her. She was just trying to warn her what kind of person she had for a boyfriend. And speaking of which, spoiler alert, everyone who is watching this, we will be spoiling the shit out of this movie. We kind of already have. uh, uh, so yeah, maybe you should watch this movie first.
Well, if anybody knows our discussions, they know that we spoil the movies when we discuss
Oh,
them. So.
yeah, that's true. I also have a DVD copy of this movie somewhere, but I couldn't really find it. Well, I couldn't found it, but we were already late. Well, I was late, and I didn't have
That's
the
what she
time to
said.
dig it out. What?
I said that's what she said.
What?
Guess who else was
No,
late?
she's late. Pregnant late.
Oh my, you and your ideas.
But anyways, continue.
Mm. Yeah, so uh, uh, yeah, I guess. Uh, okay, not sure if that's all I should say about my first impressions, but yeah, the first time I watched it, I really enjoyed it in spite of already knowing the main twists. There are some very good moments that I would say still somewhat startle me whenever I watch this movie, even though I see them coming.
Yeah, I think I always kind of slung this in with all the other J horror that's out there. There, so it's good to know that it's actually originated somewhere else. Other than your typical Japanese horror flicks that either come straight from Japan or there's even stuff from Korea too. So it's
Oh, yeah, yeah.
but that being said, um, let's get into the plot. I believe
Oh,
it starts after a wedding party.
oh yeah, so at the beginning there is a wedding party where one of the main characters' friends is getting married, and
They're
yeah,
having drinks either before or after the wedding or whatnot because she's still in her wedding dress.
yeah, probably after the wedding, I guess. Yeah, so we see Tal, the main character, and his girlfriend Jane being at this wedding party where I think his friend Ton is the one who got married, and there are two other friends. I think they are named Jim and Meng, according to the credits. Although we in the movie we never got to find out which is which. Um, yeah, and we see them like having fun together, goofing around. They all look kind of innocent the first time you watch the movie, but when you watch it for the second time and when you already know what's coming later, then in this beginning scene, when you hear the way they express themselves about the girls they interacted with in the past and supposedly hurt in the past, then you actually realize what kind of cruel psychopaths they all were.
Well, yeah, the guy that got married is the one that was doing the raping. So, yeah.
Uh,
And
I
you
think
you you almost would have to wonder because they mentioned a stag party like the night before, if that might have been that particular moment that came up later.
No, that was
oh,
obviously years before that. He said they went whoring around. You don't go whoring around when you rape somebody. And they were all
oh,
involved in that.
Yeah, it's definitely
Well, I
not
thought
the
about the possibility of
Well,
that being the
it's
case.
not possible.
Uh, yeah, because when later on, when Ton asked Tan where he put those photos, Tan at first couldn't remember what he was talking about. So I guess some time had to have passed.
Well, I'm sure he knew. It's just,
He was looking for a. Remember?
yeah.
Yes,
And she,
but
Yeah,
that was
the ghost hit him.
he
uh,
was looking for him because she asked him, "What are you?" And what are you doing? He
yeah,
said he
yeah,
was
but
doing. He was cleaning, but he couldn't tell she
yes,
was
Clean.
yeah,
looking for him.
Doesn't look like
yes,
clean,
but
asshole. Looks like you're looking for
uh,
something.
yes, but that was after the conversation. But at the very moment when his friend mentioned those photos, at first Todd was like, "What photos? What are you talking about?" But then he remembered it and went looking for the photos.
But first, before that even happens, uh, after Jane and Toon are leaving from the gathering, they are talking to each other. He's telling her she's beautiful, and she gets distracted, and she literally runs over a body that crashes into their windshield, and then she crashes the car. And literally right after that, that's when Ton says, "Get the fuck out of there," because they heard sirens. Well, he heard sirens, and she's like in a state of shock.
She wanted to check on the girl
Yeah,
to make sure she was okay, and he was just being a cunt and saying, "Let's just drive away," and you know.
yep. So they do, and it looks like he's able to go on with his life, but she is having difficulty sleeping at night.
As
So
well as she should.
and several days or at least a week.
Uh, yeah, so yeah, that's another moment when we should already be getting red flags about Tal, as we see feeling guilty is not really his strongest point.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, and we see him. He's got a job as like a wedding photographer, or not just a wedding photographer, being
oh,
a photographer.
yeah, I think so. A photographer in general, I think, and supposedly a very talented one.
Yep.
Mm.
So when after several shoots, we see him going and developing the film that he has um, taken photos of, and he when he gets the photos back or
Well, before
whatnot.
it was the wedding, it was actually the graduation
Uh,
of his friends and his girlfriend. Only she
I
wasn't there.
yeah, that was shortly after the accident.
Yeah, that was before the wedding pictures.
Yes, yes.
But he gets the photos developed of these several shoots that he does, and he notices that there are discrepancies on the photos, like these white flashes of
Yeah, and he blames the guy's processor, and he's like, "No, it's not my processor." And the guy gets the negatives and said it was, your picture
double
taking,
exposure.
and
Yeah,
he showed him the negatives, and
that's kind of a funny moment when he says something like, "When the photos are great, it's because you are good, and when they suck, then it's my fault."
yep.
And so, meanwhile, while he's doing that, I guess the girlfriend Jane is back at home, and she thinks that Toon is there inside the apartment, and he's really not. I guess normally you would call it a black room, but I guess at this point you would call it a red room because it's
which means something completely different in other cultures.
I actually think, although it is called dark room, I think the light in those rooms usually is red, if I'm not wrong.
But she notices like a shadow that goes underneath the door, and she opens up the door, and I believe this is where we get the hair coming out of the tub moment.
Not just the
Yeah.
hair, the whole body.
Yeah, a whole a body, but the hair is like sliding down the sides of the thing. I love that moment.
All right.
That was an okay moment. Yeah, that was decently done.
And we also see the door handle shaking, which is
Yeah,
foreshadowing of what we
of what
find out
she
later.
actually did when she was alive, when trying to escape.
Yeah.
But basically, I think it was at this moment that she called Toon, and that's when they somewhat got together. And I think this is when he showed her the photos, and that's when they went back to the photo guy, and he sent them to this magazine that actually photoshops photos in general to
They show photos of supposedly ghosts, and yeah, some of them are faked, but he does have some real ones. And
correct. And I do think that this part is an interesting moment because he actually pulls out like a whole album full of uh, actual moments. Like the first one,
and the Polaroids, and you can't fake the Polaroids because they're instant.
correct. You can't fake a
I,
Polaroid.
I like the first one he shows of his dead mother. If you see saw her in the background.
Yeah, because and she had just died,
Yeah.
and so there was a moment where, that was caught on a Polaroid that showed.
Actually, that was a regular picture. That one was, but still.
Regardless, he caught something, and I believe that guy fully believes that there is there are ghosts out there with unfinished business.
Well,
And
there are.
they did ask him also, um if this is real, if stuff like this is real out there, how can we tell whether it's real or not, and what can we do? He said, well, why don't you see what's going on in the photos, right?
Uh, yeah, like if you want to find out what the ghost is really trying to say, then maybe the answer is somewhere in the photo. I think something like that, they said.
Yep. And then what happens next?
What happens right after that? Let's see. I'm actually not sure about the chronology of these scenes.
Well, I think shortly after that, that is when they I believe that he begins to um, continue to take photos of people, but he starts to begin to um, have something wrong with his neck, and
oh yeah.
also he goes to the doctor, and his weight also doubled, if not
Ooh.
tripled, his weight, and he's because if you noticed, the video went to the weight scale, and he was like over his weight.
Yes, yes, more than he can actually be. Uh, and yeah, that coincided with his mysterious neck pain.
Also, I believe the girlfriend continued to experience things in the red room, and so did Toon. Um,
Uh, Yeah, there was this moment when a woman appeared in the room, and he thought it was Jane, but then he got a phone call from Jane, who was actually somewhere else, and then it was, what the hell, who was this? But then when he got back there, I think no one was there.
correct. And
And
then
Jane was investigating things on her own. She went to that building where they
Oh,
had the graduation and was using the Polaroid.
that's right. And she noticed in the graduation pictures that there were other images that showed up. And there was an image in the graduation picture that directly looked straight at Toon at one point in time too. That he went to his friend, and I think that's when he actually sent them to the magazine
Uh,
rag.
yeah, yeah, I think so. I think he went to discuss it with the photo guy after this jump scare when the woman's face turned to him from the photo.
Oh yeah, and then the girlfriend was actually in a class that a professor was uh, in fact talking about photos and this and that, and he said something to the effect that it's not in how the process of the photo is taken. It's in fact um, how it eventually interprets itself to its audience, I guess.
Mm, something like that. There was some professional photography talk, which honestly I didn't understand very much of, and I wasn't really trying to understand it that much because I'm not a professional photographer, so.
And it's somewhere after this that he runs into his friend Tun, and that's when he's like asking him about the photos and whatnot, and um, ultimately he uh, suddenly disappears on his ass because when he starts to call his wife, and
Uh,
he thinks nothing of it, and then later we see Toon um, heading into his apartment to look for him, um, and he looks around at the place, and he sees all these photos that are all over the apartment, and then you see like behind him jumping off the building, and he falls to his death.
Oh
Um,
yeah, and he falls on someone's car, and I was like, that person who got out of the car must have been like, "What the hell? Why on my car of them all?"
and then the wife, when she arrives, he says he's sorry, and she basically blames him and the gang.
Yep, and he goes just like the other two. He's like, "What other two?" He's like, "The two that was sitting next to you."
Now that to me was kind of a
Well,
twist.
I was still thinking it was all about this girl they hit. So I'm like, well, what the fuck did the friends do? I'm like, they didn't have nothing to do. I mean, they had nothing to do with hitting this girl, and the other one that he was talking about, his ex, like, they, like, we still don't even know what they supposedly did there, but yeah, it was definitely weird. It was definitely like, what, made you
And
scratch your head.
the girlfriend, Jane, she evidently, while she was doing her detective work, found out that um, the girl had something to do with him. Because I think she found a picture of him and her together. Uh,
Uh,
and that's when she literally sat him down and was like, "Okay, what the hell does she have to do with you?"
uh, yeah, that's when we kind of get one of the major twists. Uh, uh,
I want to
I
say she sat him down there in the car again.
Yeah,
uh,
Only this time he was driving. Did you
yeah.
notice he looked really short when she was driving, and then he looked taller when he was driving? So I'm
well,
wondering if the seats are like higher for the driver.
Who interesting. I watched this movie several times, but never noticed
That's the
that.
first thing I noticed. Like I was like, wow, he looks really short when he was like sitting in the car next to her both times she was driving, and then when he was driving, he didn't look short. So it was
maybe
just like,
he was slouching.
yeah, but even slouching, he looked way shorter than just slouching. So I think it's the seats are lower or something.
Oh, possibly, yeah.
What did you, Tammy, think about the moment when he found out that the other two were dead?
He looked quite shocked, you know, but I think after he got over the shock, I think started turning in his head as to what could possibly be going on because the other people in his group were dead. So
Yeah,
what?
he was
What?
the only one left.
Wait, right, which is what he tells Jane later that he's gonna die because he
Well, yeah,
realizes.
that was much later, but um, what did you think about his story and what he began to tell her?
I think it's something that he should have told her a long time ago.
Oh, good point. Yeah, although his main secret, I don't think anyone would tell that to anyone.
Well, she knows something's going on because she took those pictures in that classroom, and she saw stuff in the classroom, and she saw pictures of him and her and that girl. So she knows something's going on. So he basically has to come clean.
Oh yeah, yeah, but he at that point he didn't tell her the really shocking part, the one that actually makes him irredeemably bad.
Well,
No, he didn't tell her that part, but he told her
no.
the rest.
Mm,
Basically, he was peer pressured into that. Technically, um, but we'll get there.
mm,
Um, so basically, what he does is he tells Jane that at one point in time there was this girl and she was really weird, and and um, he started seeing her privately, and um, he knew that she had fallen in love with him, and at one point in time he thought that he could love her back, but it was not to be. His friends didn't accept her, and his friends basically just said, hey, if you don't get rid of her, we'll take care of it for you. So they
uh,
did. And
actually, Actually, I don't think they were the ones who originally wanted him to get rid of
They
her.
were they were peer pressuring him into not being with her. I think. What do
I
you
Well,
think,
he
Cole?
said he kept it a secret.
Yeah, he kept it
yeah,
a secret, but you saw when they brought her into the when she stepped into the elevator. They were
They were complete dicks, and he was laughing too, and not not
not
you know
defending her.
not defending her exactly.
no, and I think
Uh,
that's something continued.
That
Uh,
was just as bad as if he did it. It worse even because he supposedly cared for her, and and I'm sure he told her he loved her. So, you know,
from what I gathered from those flashbacks, I think he originally kind of liked her, but not as much as she liked him. And when he realized that he wasn't really developing the feelings that she would like him to have for her, then he kind of wanted to get rid of her, but didn't know how. And then his
he
friend
was an
said
asshole
they
about
would.
it, but he should have been. He could have been a lot nicer about it, and it's. I think it's better for him to cut it out, so to not string her along. But the way he did it was wrong.
correct,
And then
but
on
he
top of
also didn't expect
what
his
his friend
friends to.
what his friends did, he definitely should have stopped them. Whether he loved her or not, it was still someone he had cared about. It was
I
still
don't
so.
think he expected his friends to go as far as
Oh,
they
I'm
did.
sure. I'm sure he didn't. But and then he was shocked. But instead of doing something about it, he just took the fucking picture and then felt horrible about it later. I
Mm,
mean, that was
I
just.
think he was peer pressured into some of that.
It
uh,
doesn't matter. Like I
yeah,
don't.
but
I don't give a goddamn who you are. You're fucking raping a fucking girl. Even if it wasn't someone I liked, I would be fucking doing something. I don't give a fuck how good of a friend you are. You're not a fucking friend. You're gonna do some shit like that.
He
That's
shouldn't
just
have
indeed.
said
fucking
anything
horrible.
to his friends. It should have been between him and her when they broke up, and that's it.
Yep.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that too. And this time I watched this movie, I actually found myself wondering something that I never somehow
Well,
noticed before.
I mean, at first I thought she just killed herself because he dumped her, and I'm like, wow, that's
no.
just stupid.
I
But
think
then when I found out what actually happened, I'm like, no wonder she killed
okay.
herself. She
Okay.
got gang raped.
So this is what happened. He did try to actually uh, straight tell her it's over, but she came back with "I'm gonna slice my wrists."
Mm,
So he didn't know what to do. So he went to his friends, and they said
uh,
that they'll take care of it.
Well, yeah, like you said, though, he was an asshole about it. If he had sat her down and was decent about it, maybe it wouldn't have been as bad. Yeah. But
mm,
them raping her, oh, that's gonna help. That's gonna help. That. That's just that was just
Well, it
absolutely
definitely
horrible.
snowballed into something that he didn't expect, and he was shocked at what they were doing to her enough that he was just going through the
And of
motion.
course, he thought they murdered her because he said she would never see it again, and he never even looked into it. And she's like,
Oh
"How could you? Why didn't you stop that?" You know. And then well, at least that's what he said he was doing. Of course, he actually knew what really happened, but yeah, he was acting like they had murdered her when that wasn't the case. Now, when they went and visited the mother, at first I was like, "Oh, maybe she's okay," and then I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, no, I bet the mother's delusional." And then when they went upstairs, and I was like, "Yeah, the mother's delusional."
yeah, the mother
uh,
was delusional, and when she came up there and said, "How dare you?" That
yeah, she was a bit like Norman Bates, reverse.
Not really, but okay.
She was keeping.
She just didn't accept that her mother I mean, her daughter was dead. I mean, it it has to be really horrible for a parent to bury their child, and it fucks with your mind. I mean, that is not that is I mean, it's a rarer case and more an extreme case, but it's not unheard of that a parent would go on thinking that their kid is still alive, like as long as they don't bury them or cremate, they're still there, they're still alive, even though they're not, but they lose touch of reality because of the horrible thing that has happened. Like they said in Lord of the Rings, no parent should ever have to bury their own child.
Yeah.
It's true. It's you know the natural things is parents are supposed to go first, and it's rough. It's horrible when you lose a parent, but it could be it must be even worse for a parent to lose a child, no matter how old they are, because they're always your baby, they're always your kids. So it
Mhm.
doesn't matter how old they are. The parents shouldn't have to bury their kids.
No. But
Definitely.
after the visit with the mom, they went back to I guess
Well, they ended up having the funeral, and they had the
well,
weird
this
chant.
this was after they came back and were haunted by Nature at the end of the bed because they came
She was she was
after
still
after
she was
visiting.
still sleeping.
I think the bed scene was after the funeral, if I'm not
It
wrong.
was. It was. That's what I'm
I
saying.
s-
They
I
had
swear
that
they had
funeral
to have a
scene.
night away from that to have her haunt.
No, they had the funeral scene, then they had that scene, and then later they had the cremate scene, and they said it was all over, but it wasn't really over. Um, yeah. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Uh,
Maybe I just remember it differently.
you usually do.
uh,
See,
uh,
I thought they had to have that haunting first, and that scared the shit out of them. So they went back and
It wasn't her. She didn't. She wasn't haunted. She was sleeping. It was him. It was all him. He saw the she stole his covers, and then was like at the bottom of the bed, and then he freaked out and ran out, and then you know
that was one moment. Tammy was like, "Why would you look under your bed?
right, like what? I was
Why would
expecting
you
her
do
to grab
something
his.
that
I was expecting her to grab his face or something, but no. He
yeah,
runs out, and then he kept running. He kept running down, but he kept ending up on the fourth floor every time. And then he sees Jane, and then she's like, "Why would you leave me? Why would you leave me?" And then it turns into her, and then she's chasing him, and then he has the bright idea of going out in the pouring rain onto a slippery fucking escape ladder instead of. I'm like, yeah, that's gonna end well.
yeah, and she's
Then we
she's
have
climbing.
then we have the best scene where she's chasing him down the ladder, and he's looking up
oh,
at her, and yeah,
oh, yeah.
that was I would have to say the best scene in the movie.
Oh, definitely. Mm, I think that would be my favorite scene too.
And that's the
I mean,
first time.
besides her calling out of the sink, there wasn't really a lot of boo or scary moments or great moments, in my opinion. But that was a good moment.
Well, to me, the scariest moment was actually when they saw her corpse. Although you could expect there would be a corpse, but still the
Uh,
way they yes.
that wasn't scary to me at all. But okay, go ahead, go on.
Well, to me, it kind of was because it's kind of a jump scare when you see.
I'm gonna be a jump scare. You expected it.
Uh, well, when you see her lying in bed, you kind of already know that she is dead, but you expect they would turn her around slowly and see her dead face, but
No, I would expect them to try to do a jump scare where
then
I just laughed because yeah, that wasn't gonna scare me because I expected it.
then yeah, but the skull face kind of jumps up on the screen sooner than you expected. It kind of catches you
Maybe
off
sooner than
guard.
you expected, not sooner than I expected. So we have a difference of opinion there. I expected it right away, and it was actually slower than I expected.
Well, okay, I guess.
I'm used to American movies, dude. They do jump scares like before you even expect them. Usually, like way before they're doing these Asian films. These Asian films are very slow.
But ultimately, that was that ladder that the first fall.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, because the second one was off the building. Well,
Yeah.
out of his apartment.
So
Because
he wakes up in the hospital, and Jane,
Jane's there.
and I guess this is when she takes him home, or at least to a hotel room, and that's when they have. Is it the her at the end of the bed?
Oh,
Oh no, this is after.
No,
This is after. This is
this is
after.
way after. No,
Um,
they don't go to a hotel room because she's home and
that's
he's
right.
he's sleeping or somewhere, and
He's
that's when the ghost comes to her,
Isn't this
and
when they
she
go?
finds the pictures, and that's when she realized that she was raped, and that's when she confronted him, and she broke up with him because she was like, she can't, he's like, oh, I was young and stupid. No, that is not.
Yeah, in fact, yeah, she has this moment where he's not there yet, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
she still loved him, but after she found out what he had done and had lied about it, and like she was horrified, which any
well,
woman would be.
she finds these photos that show them sleeping together on a couch, and there's this spirit that or something that is moving when she
the
flips the photos.
Yeah, she
It
flips the
shows,
spirit.
photos like a comic strip, and she sees the whole thing where the ghost is moving and moving to the bookcase and to a specific area, and that's when she
which
finds
I
stuff.
thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Indeed. Although one thing I found kind of strange about it is when Tan was looking for those photos, yeah, he was looking through that bookcase, but apparently he couldn't find the
Well, like I
photos.
said, the
But
ghost hit him. I think the ghost hit him, so he couldn't find him, and then showed her right where they were.
oh, oh, well, maybe, yeah.
I mean, in reality, ghosts can't move things, but they like to do that in movies. So yeah,
uh,
which is fine.
yeah, and
Except for
then
ghosts.
uh,
There are
yeah, and
such
then
things as poltergeists.
Yes, but poltergeists are malevolent, and they don't help people at all. So it was definitely not a poltergeist, and it was not a shadow because shadows are just nuisance and mischievous. Trust me, I know all about it.
uh, yeah, so
So
when
Jane ends up leaving him, and that's when Toon actually begins to notice in the mirror.
No,
Uh,
he was taking pictures. He kept taking pictures like all over the
yeah,
time and trying to get her to show back up because he knows she's still there. And
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 he
then
throws
and then he throws the camera, and then the camera takes a picture by itself, and he looks at it, and he freaks out, and then you see it. It's her actually riding on his neck like she did when she was alive, and that explains why his neck has been hurting all this time because she's been riding on his neck, and he's moving all over the apartment and accidentally falls out the window.
oh yeah.
yep, and we think to his death,
Oh yeah,
but
it really looked. I mean, we saw blood splatter, and it was a splow and everything, and
Spun out.
yeah,
Yeah.
blood splatter. Yeah, he was dead, and then somehow
Uh,
he survived, and he was wrapped
well,
up, and
my
Yeah,
theory
he
is
was
that
bandaged up like a victim by the
and then June visited him, and she was horrified, and then the movie ended.
well, yeah, she was horrified, but you could see in the reflection of the window that the window on the door that she was still on top of him.
uh,
Uh,
yeah,
the spirit of nature.
that I think that's how it's pronounced. I was also struggling to.
I call on Natcher too, so I agree with Dave on that one. And if I'm wrong, I don't care because
uh,
I pronounce things the way it's easy for me to pronounce.
yeah, this name actually wasn't easy to figure out how it's pronounced. Whenever they pronounce it in this movie, it's kind
I
of
know it's like
difficult
okay, his
to.
name is a little weird, Tune, but at least you can
Um,
pronounce it.
Tammy,
And Jane is normal, plain
did
Jane, you
you
know it.
expect him to still be alive after that fall?
Well, no, I didn't. But if you look at him, he doesn't really seem very much alive, even though he's alive.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, he's alive, but it looks like I think he lost his hair somehow, and like
yeah, actually,
I think he lost his kind of will to live because he
uh,
just can't get rid of her. Like she's like stuck
Well, he
on him
sits steady
permanently.
there, and you can see all the stitches in his head and everything.
Yep.
uh,
It's like, yeah, he's alive, if that's what you want to call alive.
Uh,
Yeah.
actually, one thing that kind of bothers me about the ending scene is that we never get to hear his diagnosis. We don't really know what exactly happened to him that got him
Oh, we know what the
critically.
fuck happened to him. He went fucking nuts. You know, I
He
mean,
went. That's all, folks.
Yeah,
Time to
well,
check out.
the first time I watched it,
he's part of the Toon Squad now. So
The tiny, the toony, they're all little loony.
uh, the first time I watched it, I thought the fall left him quadriplegic or something.
you don't really need to know. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you just have to know he
You could
cracked
just
up
think
all his
that he
senses.
got what he deserved.
Yeah, he got
Oh,
what he
okay.
deserved, which is uh her. You know,
Did he rape her? No. But did he stop it? No. And
Uh,
therefore, he was wrong.
Definitely, yeah. I also think he got what he deserved. And actually, my theory is that he survived all those falls because although Nat was torturing him the whole time, she actually wanted him to stay alive. So,
when it
Oh yeah, so she
actually
could torture
comes
him more.
when it actually comes to real homicides here in the states, I mean, if you witness a murder and you don't say anything, you're an accessory to it.
uh,
You
yeah,
you are a part of it, whether you like it or
Not
not.
just murder, but rape. Yeah, anything like that. Any kind of horrible crime if you're a witness.
He allowed it to happen, and then he allowed it to stay hidden. So
yes.
And like any woman, it would be bad enough. But somebody he did have feelings for, even if he didn't love her, he still cared for her at some point. So that's just even worse.
It did.
I guess in case, I guess it's till death do we part.
Yeah, like you said. Yeah, that's it.
No, no, not even death can do them part.
Well, somehow he still survived, but yeah, she must
uh,
have cushioned
He
his
was
fall or
expecting
something.
her to kill him, and he was going to allow her to do so.
They even said that in the car, and June
uh,
was like, "Don't talk like that."
uh, you know
Well,
what?
she up and left his ass anyway, so she did him a favor, I guess.
You know what part I kind of didn't understand though. When we saw the flashback of those three raping her, so at first she was apparently alone in that room, and then they came and they started to rape her. She was trying to open the door, but she couldn't. And apparently the door was locked or something. So how did
One thing I
Todd
wanted
even
to
get
say
in?
was something about all those specimens that were in that science lab or
Uh,
whatnot. Did you see all of
yes, yeah, that was nasty.
those?
But I mean, if they were alone when they started to rape her, and if they locked the door, then how did Todd even get in and started to take photos?
That's true. I mean, I guess one didn't think about locking the door or anything. I guess he just kind of stumbled in or whatnot.
But I think they did lock the door because she was trying to open it and she couldn't, which is
Well,
the
they were keeping the other two guys were keeping the door shut when he said get her. And that was before they tried to rape her. That was, she smacked the one dude over the head, and then she tried to leave, and he's like get her, and they stopped. They like stopped the door. So like they showed her shaking the handle, but I think they were just keeping the door shut. So it wasn't really locked. She just couldn't open it.
oh.
Showing the handle, I think, was kind of stupid, but yeah.
uh, Yeah, that somewhat makes sense, I guess. Uh, oh, by the way, did you notice that when Todd fell off the ladder and when we saw him, when we saw the bruises on his face, that they kind of resembled the bruises on Nat's ghost face?
No.
No,
Mm. Well, this time I kind of noticed that, not before, not earlier when I watched the movie, but this time I did, and it seemed interesting.
ah, well, I think at this point we have hit the end of the discussion part. Why don't we talk about production?
Oh yeah, so uh, okay, Dave, what did you think about the production?
I thought it was decent for what they needed to do. I mean, I thought there were some interesting things that they did to um, you know tell a backstory to uh, ghosts and stuff dealing with being in photos and how you know the a lot of it was being set up through that one magazine rag. I mean, you saw the photos being photoshopped and stuff, uh, and that the fact that there are, in fact, real photos out there. You know, I do believe that this was
Hey,
a
they even if you
that was trying to involve photography.
yeah, if you guys looked watch the credits, like I happened to notice, like first thing they did was they wanted to thank the people they hadn't given credit to for the pictures of the spirits or whatever. So they actually used like real pictures and that they could find and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, yeah, they did mention that in the credits.
Yeah, at the
Interesting
end.
indeed.
So I thought that there were some cool montages for that. As far as the places and whatnot that they used, I thought for the movie that we got, it definitely made it a weird ass film. You know, I mean, it definitely had its weird moments. Um, they were able to do some of these spiritual moments with the spirit of nature, or net, if that's what you want to call it.
I think that's how they pronounce it. Actually, I didn't. I could never distinguish it properly in the movie, but I saw some other video online where they were mentioning the character, and I think that was how they pronounced it.
Okay, but I mean, their uh, their locations weren't too bad. I mean, you got to see a little bit of a funeral, what they would have done for a funeral, at least at that point in time. So, um, and then I thought the effects of the latter moment was really cool. I thought having it look like she was wrapped around his neck was a weird moment because you couldn't see it, but you could see it like when it was in the mirror. How they did that and adapted it to film that way. That was cool. So
Oh yeah.
but what about you, Kroll?
Well, I think I mean, despite not really caring too much for the movie, the production I think was pretty damn good. It didn't really feel like a B movie, what I consider a B movie. So it definitely felt like it was they put money into it. It was good production. Everything that they wanted to do, they seem to have done well. I didn't really find it scary, but then I have a different sense. I'm completely desensitized to that stuff. I mean, sometimes jump scares, but again, I'm used to American jump scares, so even here, I didn't really have a jump scare. But besides that, everything looked good. I mean, I could see other people being scared from it, and um, other people freaking out maybe, but yeah, it was done well. Um, Everything like you said, the way they showed the shadows and the pictures and the mirrors, and that scene coming down the ladder was definitely really done so well, and that one was creepy. It was creepy. I wouldn't say scary, but it was creepy, and I liked it. I mean, it's predictable, but creepy still. Maybe. Well, I did expect her to be down there again when he got to the bottom, even though he fell. Um, but he turned around. She was like right there in the ladder. That was kind of cool. Wasn't really expecting that. Again, I didn't jump, but it was still cool the way they did that. So I liked it. I thought the production was really well done. If like I said, the movie was slow, but I thought the production was well done.
Yeah, I
That's it.
like it when a spirit can actually like get in your face, or at least get in the actor's face a bit and scare them, you know.
Yeah.
And they were able to do that a couple of times. Like they're on the bed because he looked underneath the bed and boom, she was like right the fuck there. But you kind of expected that, you know.
Mm, yeah. Uh,
Or did
Also,
you not expect?
well, I actually I don't remember what I was expecting the first time I watched it, but now I expected it all when I had seen the movie several times before.
But in any case, what about you, Tammy? What did you think about the production?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, um, I think the effects were done decently. I mean, they weren't totally over the top. They were, they were what was needed, without going like totally overboard. And I think one of their best effects was the ladder scene. I really, that was really good. I think that was definitely one of the best parts as far as effects go. Um, I do think that there was a couple things, like I said earlier, that reminded me of other films like The Ring and The Grudge.
Uh
But
huh.
Yeah.
but if you hadn't seen those movies before, you know, it would be like, oh wow, it's because of seeing those other movies. It's kind of like, oh okay.
When they show that TV in the friend's apartment, I was like, uh-oh, she's gonna come out of the TV and get him.
yeah, the static screen.
I
Yep.
mean, this still was a decent effect, the tub thing, the tub scene, and then at the end of the bed, when she came up, and you see her at the end of the bed. But if you've seen those other two movies, you're not totally surprised by those scenes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, other than that, I mean, I think the effect of what they did with the pictures, I think that was a neat effect. I mean, because it all started with the things that were seen in the pictures, and how the whole story grew by them investigating what they saw in the pictures, you know, and that's what got everything started. So I think that was a kind of a neat effect, because that's basically how it all started. So
Mm,
like I said, I think that the effects they had in there were good. I think they weren't over the top. I think they were what they needed at the time.
Yeah. I think they portrayed exactly what they were going for, and it looked good. It didn't look, like I said, everything looked good. It just, like I said, it could have been more jump scares and more of the bad stuff. But again, that's just my taste. But for someone that likes these kind of movies, I'm sure it was a top movie. Definitely, I definitely don't think there was,
You can
anything wrong with the
definitely
production.
see why someone from America decided to go and readapt it.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, I might enjoy the American version, but I probably won't see. Who knows? Maybe I will. Um, but I can see how the American version could be way better, depending on how they do it. Um, but yeah.
uh, well, the American version is much different. I think the original is better. Many people actually
Right,
say
but you
the
you like Asian movies, so therefore, I
uh,
think our opinions might differ. I mean, again, I haven't seen it, so I can't say. But um,
yeah.
you tend to like
Well,
the Asian movies better
uh,
than Americans, so um,
uh, many people think the American remake is horrible. I personally don't think it's horrible. I think it's decent, but yeah, I still like the
and I don't
original
tend to agree
better.
with other people. Like
Uh,
Halloween Ends, like there's so many people acting like it's unwatchable, and I liked it a lot. And Mo finally saw it, and he said he thought it was fucking fantastic. So we both agree on that one at least. Yeah, I thought it was really good. I really loved the ending of that movie. So, but supposedly there was a bunch of people who didn't like it. So I don't know.
uh,
But
yeah.
you get a bunch of fans, and you'll find a bunch of people that don't like movies, don't like the movies. Yet they call themselves fans.
So
well,
the music,
well,
well, actually,
I,
you
I, I haven't said what I think about the production yet.
Yeah, don't skip him, Dave.
sure.
Just because he wasn't our late.
Sorry, I'm a squab.
Yes, you are.
You're a rotten squab. That's what you
You're a
are.
rotten, smelly, horrible squab.
Eh, yeah, I guess I smell worse than the corpse in the movie.
Good thing we're not there.
So I think the production was really good. I think when it comes to the technical quality, this movie is by no means less good than a stereotypical Hollywood movie. It's just from another country, and that's all. It's I would say it's very good. The visuals are very nice, and they really contribute to the atmosphere of the movie. And of course, the effects are great, especially in the ladder scene, which we have already said everything that can be said about it. I also really like the contrast between Nat when we see her as a ghost and when we see her as human in the flashbacks. Like in the flashbacks, when you see what she was like as a human, she is like really nice. She looks okay. Maybe she does look a little weird, but she still has this.
She acts a little weird too. So it's
A
not
little bit. Well, she seems more just like she's
a nerd.
no,
Well,
no, not a nerd. Not even close. She's
to,
just not socially awkward, and she doesn't really socialize with people. What do they call that?
to me,
Introvert or something?
uh, to me, she still kind of had the vibe of a rather lovable person, and she also had a great chemistry with the actor who played Tan in
I
the
agree.
flashbacks, at least. Yeah, and then when you see the contrast between that and what she is like when she, as a ghost, when she is all deformed and terrifying, that's something really good, something I really liked about this movie. And like I said, okay, that's not that doesn't have much to do with the production, but I really like the fact that in the end the ghost does not turn to be a villain, but someone pursuing justice and
Hell hath
eventually
no fury
achieving
like a
it.
woman scorned.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Uh, yeah, that's something I really liked here, and also I think this movie can kind of serve as a suicide awareness movie because we also get to see, aside from the rape scene, which is obviously bad, we also see that the way Tan treated her before the rape happened, that it was also kind of shitty and contributed to what ended up happening to her. And also, I think it conveys a very good message that you shouldn't really be fooling someone that you care about them if you really don't.
I have something to say about nature, though.
Yes.
I don't think that she was in a psychological position to handle rejection well
Definitely.
to begin with, because her initial reaction to Tun saying that he wanted to end things was okay. I will cut my wrists, and that
Been
to
there,
me,
done that.
Uh,
that to me tells me that she is not emotionally uh well, though I understand love and all that jazz, when a relationship is over, uh I never know how people should react. I guess it depends on how
well,
the shit is, but suicide or cutting of wrists should never be the option.
You break
well,
up
you
with me,
should.
you'll find out what happens.
You cut your
Ooh,
balls off.
well, you
I
should
like that,
also
Tammy. That was funny.
uh, uh, you should also take into account that she didn't really have anyone in her life aside from him. She was lonely and she didn't have any friends aside from him, and she probably believed she could never
She
find
put
another
everything.
boyfriend.
She put everything into him, and
Yes,
everything into the
yes,
relationship. That was obvious, and so when he wanted to break up with her, it cut her deeper than it
then
was
it
emotionally cutting so deep that she wanted to physically get cut to feel something other than the emotional cutting, and I certainly understand that.
yes,
Well, not to mention, he kept this relationship a secret from his friends. So when they were all in that elevator together and they were picking on her, he just sat back and let it happen and even joined in. So how do you think that made her feel?
Yeah,
awful.
horrible.
That made everything even worse.
And I think it was worse for him. I mean, yeah, he wasn't doing anything, but he was laughing and not. I mean, he was laughing, and of course, he
Which
wasn't
means
defending
I
her at
think
all.
he cared more about his friends and his popularity at that point in time
He
than
did.
her.
Yes.
He did, and it's like he'd already graduated from college, so he doesn't even he's not high school, he's not college, he's already grown up enough that he should know better.
Yeah, definitely.
If he loved her enough, he should have been able to
Even
be
if
able
he
to
didn't love
notice
her,
that.
even he still cared about her. Like, you
Uh,
don't do that to somebody you care about.
No,
uh,
which
yeah,
means
he.
that if he cared about her, it was only half invested. You know.
Yeah, if he really did love her, I think he wouldn't have kept the relationship a secret to begin with. He would be like, "Yes, she is my girlfriend, and if you are my
And
friend,
I'm
you
proud of it.
better accept her and respect her."
Exactly. That's what I did. Um, I had friends that didn't really care for my girlfriend, but they didn't really say anything because they knew how I felt about it. So yeah, I have a girlfriend. I will never keep it a secret. No, we law and bread. That's how I am.
Oh
I don't know
yeah,
if I've really run into that. I mean, well, I've had boyfriends in the past that people were questionable about. Even I mean, some of the boyfriends in the past that people were like, they were right. You know, I should have.
Shall I mention Jim?
uh, one of
Dave,
the one of the guys who got killed in this movie was named Jim.
Yeah, well, Jim almost did not exist anymore if Scott would have had his way. But all I know is my friend Scott, who's been my friend now for 30 years, and everybody thinks he's my brother. We were at the bar, and it's like you have to go if you're on the one side, you have to go all the way around to the other side to go to the restrooms. And he was meeting Jim for the first time. And I went to the bathroom, and I came back, and Jim's head was down, and Scott's sitting there with this big old grin on his face. And I'm like, and then he goes, "Well, I'm going to take off." And I walk out with him, and I go, "What'd you do?" He goes, "Nothing." I go, "What did you do?" He goes, "I just told him how it is that I'm going to always be here. He better get used to it." And I'm like, "Okay, that means that Scott don't like this guy." That was the immediate impression that he did not like him if he put that stern of a.
Yeah.
And he was right. He was right to not like him. So the only one that was not too sure, David, I think was, and at the beginning, kind of was my mom.
she was right. No, I'm just kidding.
And no, because David didn't fit
I
what
said I'm kidding.
what my mom was used to. When I told her about David, she's like, "How many tattoos? None. How long is his hair? Short. Does he have anything pierced? No. Well, what the hell?" And she's
No, so
like,
he's just a boring guy. All right.
I said the only thing is
I
is
got a
that
piercing. I
I've
got
older, and
tattoos.
she goes, "Okay." And then she met him, and I think out of everybody that I've gone out with, she liked David the best out of everybody that I've ever gone out with that
Yeah,
didn't
yeah, no
share.
Ooh,
long hair, tattoos, or
yeah,
I
All I
had
that's
know is the
my
first time
last
that he
year.
went to go help him out, and he
My,
was
I'm what
outside cutting
every parent
grass.
wants in a
Wait,
boyfriend
wait,
of
wait,
their
wait.
daughter or a daughter.
All I know is not long after she met him, he was over there helping outside with Jerry, and I had told my mom that he was furry. And he goes past the window with no shirt on and cut the grass. And her eyes just kind of bugged out a little bit. She looked at him and then she looked at me. She's like, "Yeah, he is furry." And I think that was like the
ow!
only comment she really had to make, and it wasn't a bad comment. But
All
I
right,
don't know.
so
I guess in the past, I've gone. I have never really cared what anybody thought. It was my decision, and if I didn't like, and if I found out later that things weren't right, then they weren't right. But I never I never really thought about what anybody else said.
Fuck
You
anybody.
But
Uh,
I guess the composer behind this film is Chetchai Pongprapagan.
Say that 5 times fast.
He's a composer behind this, along with Hitman File, an animated feature called The Blue Elephant, a horror film called Alone, a film called The Warlords, a film called The Tsunami Warrior, another animated film called Elephant Kingdom. I guess he was behind some of the segments in an anthology called Phobia 2. He was behind the movie Hello Stranger, Dragon, The Outrage, Adventure Planet, and recently in 2021 and 2022, The Medium and Six Characters. So he is a continuing composer for some movies out there. So, that being said, did anyone notice the music behind it?
Nope.
mm, well, I guess there wasn't really much about the music. Well, maybe the music in the ending credits.
I don't
But
know,
yeah,
maybe a little bit. Every time we get to this part, no matter which group I'm in, it's kind of hard for me to answer that because unless it like really sticks out, I don't pay attention to the music. I'm sorry, I don't. Like
yeah, I
if you're
understand.
watching Star Wars, yes, the music stands out. Okay, you get even with the Rocky movies we just did.
Have
Some of
you
the
turned
music
into Kroll?
stands out.
Right? I was like, hey, Star Wars, nice.
But
Reborn Kroll!
but some of
Uh,
these other movies, the music just isn't. It isn't something that I notice.
Jaws, or at least the sound effects.
Yeah.
Jaws, Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic
No,
Park is one that I noticed the music in.
Pirates.
I don't notice music in that.
Pirates.
Dun, dun, dun,
I'm too busy looking at the. I'm too
dun,
busy looking at the dinosaurs that are closer than they appear.
The Pirates movies music.
I can
And
see
I don't think I recognize that one either. Superman the movie.
Lord of the Rings.
Nope.
Lord of the Rings. I remember certain things for.
Yeah,
like,
certain songs.
I remember the.
Oh, what was the last one?
What was it?
Wasn't it King Kong Skull Island? I think it was the one I was thinking of. Now that has some awesome fucking tunes in it.
Did it?
Titanic had some interesting music.
oh, of course.
But there was some really good, noticeable music too. I mean, music.
She killed him. There's plenty of room on that door.
Kind of, yeah.
That was
Well,
that's a killer soundtrack. That one.
Just
Skull
like
Island, I
Rose.
believe.
But yeah, for the most part,
She loved him. She loved him and didn't care that he was poor until it was her neck on the line. And it's like, nope, take this whole fucking thing is mine. Get your own.
you're my bitch now.
She's like, this is my door and you can drown. Sorry, not sorry.
But in any case, so
Titanic 2, Rose kills again.
Oh,
this time it's gonna be 4.5 hours long. Yay!
My sister says that to her friends, and they all got mad at her because they all
if
love the
any
movie. And
if any fan of Titanic is just watching this discussion, you must have just killed the movie for them.
well, if they're no, they'll be pissed off. Like I said, my sister's friends get pissed off when my sister says it, but it's the truth. But they're like, "Oh no, it's romantic. It's this and that." And no, she fucking kills him. What's so romantic about that? He didn't sacrifice himself. She killed him. She could have said,
Mm.
"Get on this. Get on here. There's plenty of room." But no.
Who's to say that they both could have actually floated on that door or not?
I did. I can. Cause yeah, like it's not like they were both 300 pounds.
Uh, I think that was discussed a lot online, and I think at one point the director said that. Okay, I'm not sure exactly how he said it, but I think he said it was done the way it was for artistic value. That even though maybe he could have survived, like. Apparently he just had to die for the emotional effect or something like
Right.
that.
So he made Rose a murderer. Maybe that wasn't his intent, and maybe he didn't see it that way, but some of us do. We know the truth.
Yeah, I just keep thinking of myself, the old lady that says, "Yeah, that was me in the picture." But anyways, um, uh, let's talk about favorite scenes and favorite characters. Let's go with you, Tammy, first.
Um, let's see. I think my favorite character actually was Jane because she's the one who started the investigating. I think first and was and put she made took the initiative to go to that building and take the picture. She listened to what the guy said that of the magazine, and she started checking into all this stuff, and she stood by him until she found out the very, 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 very truth. But she went with him for everything and stood by him. My favorite scene. I know it's gonna probably be everybody else's, but the ladder scene because that was just it was really cool. So
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Kroll?
Flat face. She's the only true. She's the only true victim there. True victim and the only one worth caring about. June thought she killed a girl, and still sped away, and therefore she's a killer and a criminal. And I don't care what else she did. Was a good character, a good character, and she seemed like a good person. But she still thought she killed someone and drove away. So
Well,
um,
she drove
I,
away because Todd
I don't
practically
care.
forced
I
her
don't
to
care.
do it.
She's her own person. She could have gotten out of that car and checked on her, and she didn't. So I blame her for that, and I will not like her because of that. I mean, after that, she seemed like a decent person, and Tammy's right. She did do investigate and everything, and she stood by him until she found out the truth, and then even she came in at the hospital because obviously she still cared, but she's still guilty of thinking she ran someone over. I mean, it wasn't. It was a ghost, but still, that doesn't mean that you can forgive her for that because she thought she ran someone over and never checked it. So, therefore, I cannot, in good conscience, say she's a good character. And like I said, um, uh, June. I'm sorry. Flatface was the only true victim and the only decent person or ghost in the movie. So, and of course, the ladder scene.
Yeah. My favorite scene is also the ladder scene, although my close second favorite scene
The
is
sink.
oh, that's good too, but I actually meant the scene when we get to actually know Nat as a character, when we see what she was like when her relationship with Tan was apparently still good. When we get to know what she was like as a person, that was one of the more interesting parts to me. And yeah, of course, Nat is my favorite character too, even though many people would probably say that many people vilify people like her who act like that when a relationship is supposed to be over. But I can actually imagine how she felt, and I
Okay, too.
really. Yeah, I really think she cannot be blamed for much, and of course, she is the victim because of that, and of course, because of what they did to her later. And speaking of which, I found a poem I wrote inspired by her. I wrote it several years ago. If you maybe want to hear it, okay, maybe first Dave should say his favorite character and favorite scene, and then I will read the poem if you want to hear it.
Sure. Um, m- I have several favorites. I do like the sync moment where the hair just starts to like slide out, and it doesn't slide like outwards. It slides just straight downwards. That's a cool effect. I do like the ladder scene as everyone else does. I do like the moment when you see the spirit of nature in the photos, like the comic book, and I do like the effect that they do where you can't see her on top and wrapped around his neck, and yet you see her in the fucking mirror, and see her in the reflections of everything. Thing that's cool. But my favorite character is definitely Nature. I happen to agree with Crow when it comes to Jane, because even though it was a ghost that she ran over, she still ran over a person, and she still said nothing. And that to me does not put her in a good light. But you do see loving moments between her and Toon. So you can see that she is a nice person, but she's evidently not nice enough to be able to, if she did something wrong, to do the right thing.
Mm, Yeah, actually, that's an interesting thing you point out because there are also moments when you can see that Tan somewhat feels guilty for everything he did, but not really enough. He is still more concerned
Oh yeah,
about
he
what
was the
happened.
first one to say, "Let's get the fuck out of here."
No, 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 I didn't mean about that. I mean later when everything was revealed, what he did, his facial expressions did kind of look like he somewhat felt guilty for what he did, but he was still more concerned about his own ass than about fixing injustice.
Very true.
Mm.
So yeah, those are my favorite scenes and favorite character. Why don't you tell us your little poem?
Oh, so when I wrote this poem, when I wrote it, I had seen this movie only once, and it had been some time ago. So I made a little mistake in this poem. I misremembered the way Nat died. I thought she had thrown herself out the window, that she jumped through a glass, which, no, she jumped off a roof, which is what I didn't remember correctly, and I made this mistake in the poem. The poem is named Love Made of Glass. Her only companion was solitude until she opened the door of her life to him. But when his body ran out of passion, she was put through her ultimate eternal pain. The last scream of her agony faded out in the shattering of glass. But she did not live. Her tormented soul, frozen with fury, was kept alive by her love made of glass. Because she was not like him, she was not capable of abandoning the one she loved. Now she is flowing through the air he breathes, feeding on memories that faded out of his reminiscence. She remained next to him to bleed out her love made of glass. Now he is beginning to feel her pain. Now her power is growing, while the days of his life are starting to reek of doom. But her ultimate act will not be fatal. Her intentions are born from her love made of glass. That is why, in the darkening of what is left of his light, her justice will arise. But she can find her peace no longer. No more joy is awaiting her in this world. The only thing left for her is his lost soul with no shine and no emotions, and her eternal, painfully immortal love, the love made of glass.
Very
What?
cool.
Yeah, that was neat.
It was
Oh,
good.
thank you.
So, hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, you enjoyed our discussion on Shutter. Um, I'm glad to have been able to see the original to the remake. Is definitely different, and let us know down in the comments what you thought of the film, whether you thought there were moments that were pretty cool. And we'll be back next week with an original classic chosen by Kroll, the King of Nightmares, Nightmare on Elm Street. So
The
stay
original.
uh, for some fright bit of fun as we continue to discuss films here on Delusions of Grandeur. At this moment in time, did anyone else have anything else to add?
Oh, whew. Well, yeah, one thing I could add is if anyone likes this movie as much as I do, I can also recommend, aside from the American remake, which, yeah, I don't think it's as good as the original, but I still think it's worth watching at least once. And I also think it's interesting to watch the other remakes, the less well-known ones. There is a Tamil remake from 2007. It's called CV. Not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it's spelled Sivi. There is also a Hindi remake named Click. I think it's from 2010, if I'm not wrong. And there is also a Telugu remake named Photo. I can't remember which year it's from. But one thing I really find interesting about the remakes is that in some of them the story is somewhat different. In some versions, they changed the backstory of what happened to the ghost woman, and the final play out is also different. Not in all remakes, but in some of them it is, and that was something I really found interesting when I was watching the remake. So yeah, if you like this movie, I recommend checking out the remakes as well.
Alrighty. So uh, we'll be here same. Well, probably not same time as we did today, but definitely
No,
next Sunday.
unless we all forget to set our clocks back and then we're an hour late. But yeah,
Uh, yeah, I'm sorry about that once again.
Not a problem. So everyone say good night.
Good